Whoa ho ho, howdy guys, welcome back to another Project Feline devlog. Hold on a sec, my chat window's gone. Oh, I gotta get that. I should get that so I can see you. I can't see you yet. Open as tab. That ought to do it. Alright, hey, welcome. So, I'm gonna just get into it real quick today. I got some stuff to show you. Cool, exciting stuff, and we got new stuff we're doing. It's going to be a quick one though, but you'll see. So let me show you how things are going at the moment. A lot of you asking how things are going. This is exactly how things are going. Well, this is some of what's going. There's still a lot I haven't shown yet, but check this out. So I'm not sure if you can hear it. I have no idea if my desktop audio is... I don't know. Wait a minute. I'll get my desktop audio because you got to hear it. All right, I think that should work. All right. So mission system. I know I've been talking about the mission system for a while, but it's like 99% finished. There's just like a little thing we got to do, and you'll see it. You'll see what it is when I start playing around. So if I run into this volume, mission starts. UI's nice, music is going, enemies spawning, cogs, you know, collecting, everything's going on. I've been working on this little test slice, like this little bit of geometry here to test this system for a while. But here's the really cool bit I was working on recently, because this is all stuff you've probably seen. But check this out, check this out. Oh. Some animations, some transitions. Oh, what is that? Oh, beautiful. Wait a minute, is my you guys can see my desktop, right? Yes. Okay, cool. I had to make sure. But yeah, so we got a nice actual results screen now instead of the garbage I had before where it was just a static image. Now this is a placeholder picture. I got some fan art that someone drew and put it on like a background. I'm gonna make some actual art later. It's gonna take time, so I'm just using some placeholder background, but that's the general idea of what I wanna do. But the UI bits that animate, that's all there. It has sounds and it fades and everything. And if I hit continue, I know, I think I have to hit restart to restart the mission. So I've got a little test thing there. And yes, that's the vine boom. It's a placeholder, okay, but I needed something that was like noisy, and I'm like, I'll just use the vine boom, and I had it in my devlog folder for sound effects. And I'm like, I'll just chuck that in for now. If I hit restart, you'll notice that the music will come back on and everything. And when I hit the goal, the audio all fades out. It has that cymbal clash sound, it has the white screen fade, and it has all the animations. So that is what we in the industry call a bit of polish. Now, the entire game is not this polished yet, but yeah, so that's some stuff I've been spending some time on because it was really important to me that the end result screen felt good when completing a level. Now here's the problem I want to address today, because you'll notice if I play through this mission and like get to the end, you'll notice something. If I go and restart, you'll notice that the mission resets and everything, the music's gone back, but none of the enemies have come back. So we got to fix that. We got to do something about that. Now, there is a reason why that's happening. The reason is because the mission is actually not being reset technically. Like the scene isn't being reloaded, and there's advantages to that because it means that the load time's really quick. But it also means that if you do want something to reset, you have to go in and manually tell it, hey, could you come back now that the mission's been reset? And then it has to go okay, and then it spawns back in. So there are some things I have configured that will respawn back in, like the cogs. So for example, if I touch and collect those cogs and then take damage, the cogs will respawn, but the enemies won't respawn. So we got to make the enemies respawn. That's kind of what I just want to get knocked out today. So I'm going to need to write a component for that, and there's other components I've written already that are going to come in handy. So this is like a bit of new stuff and a bit of leveraging my framework. And this is like the bit where I get to show like why doing it this way has advantages with how I've done. Because some of you have probably been checking in on my streams with this blueprint stuff. You probably have no idea. Like, you're looking at what I'm doing. Even I don't really get what's happening half the time. You're probably going, what is he doing? I don't get it. But what it'll all amount to, and I'll tell you when it happens, but there'll be moments where I can just implement a thing easily, and I'll tell you when that'll be. But we'll get started on the new system. I have to write a new component, and we're gonna hook that into the system. And yeah, so what I need to do is, I'm just thinking where I should put this blueprint. I think I should put it in the core folder, components. Is it I don't know. I have to think if this should be a component. I think it should. We'll create a actor component BP underscore, and I'm gonna call this, because this is gonna spawn the enemies. This is gonna be like, I want to make a thing, and I also want to like have performance in mind too. So I've been thinking all day about how I'm gonna design this thing, and I want a specific thing to happen. I'm just going to give this a name first, and I'll explain to you what I'm going to try and do. So I'm going to call this proximity spawner. And I'm probably going to need to make an actor as well to attach this to. So I will do that. Actor BP. So I'll open those, and then I'll explain what I'm going to try and do with this. So, with these enemies, there's things I want. One thing I don't like about how this is currently set up is that when you have a level, at the moment, what we've done is we've just put the enemies in the level like this. We've just drag and drop them in. But there's a problem with this. Problem is that if you have a big level and lots of enemies, that's gonna cost some frame time, because it has to like process all of that. So what I'm thinking is, all of the enemies are not going to be relevant all the time. What I need is something that will spawn enemies in when it's relevant, and then despawn them when they become irrelevant. I need something, that will spawn them in the world and then take them away. And I want to do some kind of proximity-based thing. That's why I've called these components proximity spawner. And I have like a checklist of things I'm going to have to get done. I'm not sure if I'm going to get through all these in this stream, but these are like the list of things I'm going to have to do. So the first stage is detecting when the player is in close proximity, and the reason I want that is because let's say you've got like a level that's like 1 kilometer long, and you have enemies at the end of the level, and it's really far away. Those enemies do not need to be in the world. They don't need to be taking up valuable performance, because the player cannot interact with them at all. There's like no purpose of them being on the map. So why not just get rid of them and then spawn them when they are relevant, right? So that's this first stage, is just knowing when the player is nearby, spawning the enemy, keeping track of maybe how many times we've spawned an enemy, because maybe we only want it to spawn one enemy. Or maybe we want it to keep spawning enemies if you keep killing them. That's something I'd like to be able to control. The next stage, I think this is, okay, so this isn't the same as the first one. Because here's another, because this is another thing I was thinking about. I was like pseudo-coding this in my head. I should rename this to spawned actor, which is the enemy. Because here's another problem, right? Because you might be thinking, if it's proximity based, and in a way these enemies kind of are proximity based already, because these enemies actually have a range, because these ones chase you. And they do have a range on how close do you have to be to them for them to start chasing you. But when you're not near them, they start patrolling, and that's still, that's using the character movement, that's still taking up performance, it's still playing animations. I'd rather just have them not be in the map. But what happens when, let's say, because what I want to do in this example is have them spawn just for this little slice. I'm going to create a volume that's as big as this little corridor. And if Gabby is outside of that volume, it'll despawn the enemies. But because these enemies can chase you, what happens if you run over here and it follows you? Now, if I hadn't thought about this, what would have happened if I just got into this without planning it? What would have happened is the enemy would have started chasing me, and then it would have just despawned once I exited the volume. So for despawning, we have to be a bit more clever. What we have to do is we have to despawn. We have to spawn the enemy based on the proximity it is to the spawn point. But to despawn the enemy, it has to be based on the distance between the enemy and the player, not the spawn point. So it's not that if the player gets far enough away from the spawn area, it's if the player gets farther enough away from the enemy. So that way you could have the enemy trail you all the way through the level, but if you get further enough from the enemy, like 500 meters or something, when you can't affect it at all and interact with it, then yeah, it's fair to maybe despawn him, let the game like use resources for something else. And then when you enter the spawn zone again, it'll then respawn here. That's how I want it to work. So obviously, yeah, we'll also need a function to despawn that character based on that distance. So yeah, what I've listed here is just states and actions that need to happen. Another thing we'll need to do is, if I want to be able to spawn multiple enemies from the same spawn point, like let's say you defeat an enemy and then it like continuously respawns another one in that place. Let's say I want to do something like that. If I want to do that, I'll need to know when the current enemy has died so that I don't like spawn too many. If I just want one spawner to spawn one enemy at a time and then replenish that stock, then I'll need the spawner to know, oh, has the current enemy died? Oh, okay, it has. All right, spawn another one in. So we'll need to be able to bind to the health of the enemy. I'm not sure what I meant when I wrote this one, but I'm sure there's a reason. It'll come to me. It'll come to me what this is for, but I can't remember what that is now. And then the final thing with all this that's going to be the key to getting this to work with the mission system is binding it to the mission system, which is easy. That's one of the fun, easy bits with the system I've made, because I do have a component that can already hook into mission events and react. And what we'll need to do is basically, when the mission is loaded, so when you die, respawn, or when you start a mission, it'll then like reset all of the spawners so that if you start this mission, defeat that enemy, and then die and respawn, it'll respawn that enemy again. So that's how that's going to work. So that's just a quick rundown of the steps. I don't know if we'll have time to get through them all, but I'm going to be working. We're going to work on it and see what we can get. Let's start with these components. So we're going to need some events, some functions. Why do I have two of these? I have two of these. There's one of these is, okay, this one's the component. I named it wrong. This has to be called proximity spawner component. I'm not actually sure how necessary this will be, but I like using components, so we'll see if I don't know if we'll even need a component for the spawning, because it is just a function that we can call. Okay, what we'll do, we'll start just programming this on the blueprint, and if it's getting too much, we'll move it to the component. I don't think it should be, like, the spawning should not be that, should not need its own component, I don't think. So let's just get the proximity bit working. So we'll create like a trigger volume, maybe like a box collision, and so that's what our blueprint looks like now. It's just going to be a box collision. We then need to bind events to that. So we'll go on component begin overlap, and we'll need one for end overlap as well eventually. Or will we? I'm actually not sure. We might just stick to begin overlap for the moment. If the overlap actor is that's okay, not overlap component, overlapped actor. Cast to pawn is player controlled. So if the player, so that way other enemies can't trigger this, because that would be no good. We don't want that. If that's true, we need to, we'll make a function called spawn actor, and we'll need to know we'll need to create a variable for actor to spawn. So we could use this to spawn anything, but we're going to use this for enemies primarily. And we'll make that instance editable. So that's our function that we'll call. And in that function, we are going to get the actor to spawn. I think I'm pretty sure there is a spawn actor from class. Oh, okay, no, this has to be a class reference, my bad. Actor class. There we go. Spawn actor. And we need a place to spawn it. So let's create a... I think I should be able... Because I don't want to put a vector in, because that's just annoying. I used to do things that way, but typing in a vector, it's annoying. I want to get like a... Just like a point I can... Like an empty vectors. I don't know if this... can I add like just an empty thing? Like a root or a... Just something. I just want to add like a empty object. Transform? I could have sworn there was something like that in here. I just gotta remember. I think there's a name for them in Unreal. I don't remember what the name is, but it's like a marker, I think. I don't know if that's the name, but you can just they're basically just empty objects that you put in a scene, and I don't remember what they're called. I don't know, it's in this list somewhere. I just don't know where it is. What was it? Maybe is it just called point? Is it actually called empty? Because when I search empty, nothing comes up. Oh, maybe this? It's just an empty scene. It's just, okay, that's close enough. I think it might have been something else, but this works. What is this empty thing, though? I'm trying to figure out. I literally can't search for it. I don't know if it's like a... Does it come up in search, or is this the right... I think this is the right thing. Cool. All right. That's the thing. Because I go back and forth between, like, you know, modeling and programming and art. I kind of forget what things are named. So... But that's it. I'll just put it there for the moment. We'll call this spawn point. And we will use get transform. Can I do that? Will it let me get the transform? Get relative transform. Add local transform. Get world transform. I think that's what I want. Yeah. Get world transform. Let's chuck you in. I don't think we need to give those anything. Or do we? What does that actually do? Oh, this is like for networking stuff. So yeah, we'll ignore those. I think that's literally... I don't know if we'll even need to make that a function, but just out of principle we will, in case we want to do some fancy thing to any time something spawns. Let me just think. So now that... Well, I don't know if we'll have to actually check if this will work first. So what we'll do... Let's drag that into the scene. And what I will do... I'm gonna just remove these enemies for the moment. and we'll do this all with spawning. And now that I've just done that, I realized that there's going to be some complications with this. Because what I'm going to need to work on as well, because the thing about these enemies is that they actually do have some parameters per instance. For instance, like what we'll need to be able to do is when we spawn an enemy, we're going to have to assign it a path for patrolling. So I guess what I'll do in the spawn function is create a variable for a patrol path, and then like if it's the AI class, assign the path to whatever the variable is. So we'll have to do that in the spawner, because doing it here won't, that'll be empty if we spawn this from the spawner. So that's something I got to keep in mind. So we'll create some variables for that now. We'll just see if this works like first before we go and implement it, but just so I remember, we'll add like a patrol path. What kind of, I don't know what kind of variable that is. Patrol path. I need to look at the base class. I think it's just it's a vector path. All right, so I think it's a custom thing I've written. Reference to path. Because yeah, we'll need to tell it when it spawns which path to do. So I'll just remember that for later. Otherwise, the enemies will spawn and they won't move unless they see you. And if they stop chasing you, they just will stop moving. All right, so let's actually... what is that? Okay, that's the path. Let's just make sure that I'm in the right scene, because I want to be in the mission scene, and add the proximity spawner to this. And I guess we'll just, we'll make the box big, like 500 by 500. So that's going to be the volume. I'll make it visible as well when we're playing the game, so we can actually see where the trigger volume is. And we'll move it up so that the root is like on the floor. I think that's what I was hoping it would do at least. Okay, I want that because I like having my pivot points on the floor. That's just a me thing. So yeah, so I can just place this on the ground and then it'll draw a box above it. So we'll move it there-ish. And then it has the spawn point, which is this empty thing. I should probably put like some kind of visual thing. I know that there's a way you can add like an icon to these, but I don't know how to do it. I forgot how to do it. We'll get to that later though. I just want it to like spawn here roughly. And we'll pick an actor class. Drone. So let's see if that'll actually do something. Let's turn down my volume. So if I walk into this big box, hey, okay, well it spawned 2 of them. So that's not so good. We don't want 2 of them. Oh no. Okay, because I haven't added like a limit, so if every time I run into this, it's gonna spawn more. That's a lot of enemies. How much points can I get by destroying them all? Wow, 1,000 points. Alright, well they're just gonna keep spawning. Okay, that's kind of funny. That is kind of funny. What we will do for the moment, because I know I mentioned that this would be a problem later, but just for testing, we're going to make an unspawn function and just bind that to the end overlap, even though we're not going to be able to do that for the final thing, just so that I can test that despawning can actually work. So what I might do is make a thing for this. We'll have like an argument whether we should spawn or unspawn the actor. Actually, yeah, we'll make that a separate one because we're going to need different arguments for it. We'll also need to get a reference to like where the actor currently is, so we'll promote this to a variable and we'll call this actor reference to spawned actor. And then when we despawn the actor, we'll get that reference again. Now, I will say, I know that there's probably some memory-efficient object pooling way of doing this, which I don't know at the moment. So we're just gonna do it this way, and later, if I get time, I'll see if there's a better way of... Because I know that when you're spawning and unspawning, like destroying stuff, I've heard that apparently there are better ways to do that. I don't know what those are at the moment, but I just need something to work right now, so we're gonna do it this way. So I think that should be it. So what we'll do, we'll get an end over... Just to test it, we'll add this to end overlap. We might... actually, as well, what we'll do... Before we spawn it, we'll check if the actor is already there. So if... when this overlaps, if it is overlapping the player, and if the object, if the actor to spawn has not already been spawned, it will spawn the actor. So I should probably add some kind of comment bubble for that. Only spawn if overlapping the player, and if spawned actor has not already been spawned. Oh, oops. I hit escape instead of enter. How did I get that mixed up? The keys are so far away from each other. Alright, let's type it again. What did I just write? Only spawn if overlapping the... and... if actor has not already been spawned. Alright. And then when we end overlap, if the player is ending overlap, and if the actor is valid, we will despawn. Where's the name of the despawn? What's this? Does not in... Oh, I plugged in the wrong thing there. All right, there we go. So let's give that a whirl. See if it spawns double this time. It shouldn't do. It should only spawn one. And that's only when the mission's active too, by the way. Okay, so it just spawns the one, and then if I leave the volume, it... Okay, that's awesome. It's spawning and despawning. Of course, we won't be able to do the despawn this way, because if we just leave this volume, no matter where the enemy is, it'll despawn. I don't know why there isn't gravity, though. That's kind of weird, for having it just float. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with that, exactly. Let me check something. Because I don't want this enemy to fly. Other enemies fly, but not this one. Might be something in the character class. There should be like a gravity... Okay, it's supposed to be using gravity. Let's see If I just drag this into the scene, I actually don't know if I just put one in here if it will fall or not. I actually have never tested that. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that one falls. But the other one does not. Okay, that's odd. I wonder why that is. I know there's probably some very obvious reason that it is eluding me right now. Maybe there's some special kind of function you gotta do for characters. Okay, no, there isn't. Wonder. I don't know where to even begin to solve that problem. Yeah, I've heard of object pooling, but I've never done it. I have no idea how it works. I just hear it a lot because I think it's one of those things that everyone learns in like their first programming class or something. But because I never did those, I'm aware of it, but I have no idea how to implement it or anything. But luckily, I don't have to know that right now. I can learn that later. I suppose debugging is going to be the same as... Yeah, well, here we... Okay, I got to think, because we can't really move forward until I fix this. So I have to think, what's going on? What is going on? Okay, where's my keyboard not working? Google time. Spawning, Unreal, spawning character, floating in air. Let's see what the forum has to say about this. Oh, must have controllers. How on earth? How does that? Okay, I gotta figure out how that works. Because I think these do have a controller, but I gotta investigate. I gotta look. These guys. Where's the blueprint for it? Because I can drag them in like this and they'll work, but what's the difference between me dragging it in and just spawning it in code? It must mean that when I drag it in like this, it's somehow configuring, like when it says a controller, I know what it means. I just don't know how to spawn the controller. Because when I drag it in like this, because a controller is a separate object. I don't know where, I don't know really how I don't get that yet. Because this uses a thing, or does it? I don't know. Let me search. It uses a... what did I can't remember what I named it, but it's like an... it's a type of... it's a character controller. Oh, what did I name it? I'm trying to remember what I named it. I think it might have been... Oh, here, no, it's right here. Oh, there's two of them. I just gotta remember which one it is. The enemy controller melee? Or the I don't know which one of these is the correct one. This one has more stuff in it, so I'm gonna assume it's this one. So this is the thing that like tells... That's also why it isn't chasing us, by the way. Because it's this object that actually has... it tells it to go chase the player. So this controller... Imagine like... For those who aren't familiar with Unreal, imagine that the character is like an empty receptacle, like a car, and you need a driver to move it around. So when I spawn Gabby in, I'm the controller. It spawns an object in that takes player input. But when I spawn in a character from AI, it spawns the character in, but it doesn't have a controller, so it can't. The AI can't do anything with it. And when I say AI, I'm not talking about the new AI stuff. I'm talking about like old school AI, if you can call it that. I'm not talking about that mid-journey or whatever. I know AI is kind of a bit of a buzzword right now. I'm talking about game AI. So this is the game AI, and this basically is the thing that moves the drones around and makes them attack. So this has like a behavior tree which I've programmed. It'll chase you. It will check if you're in a certain range, and if you are, it'll attack you. That's what the AI is programmed to do. It's very basic. But because this isn't being spawned, the character is basically just completely brain dead. It has no brain. It just has the body. So I'm sure that there is a protocol for spawning characters in this way and the controller. Because in my head, I'm just thinking, oh, I just spawned the controller. But I get the feeling there's probably some like way you're meant to do it. But just to experiment, we'll see what happens when I spawn in the controller and the actor using this. I don't know if this will actually work, but we'll try it. So we'll need a controller class reference. So if I do have that, because it's not an act, I guess it is an actor. I don't know. If I just spawn controller 2, I feel like this isn't the way I'm meant to do it, but I'm gonna try it anyway. And we'll just spawn the controller and just, I don't know, see what happens. If it works, then we'll just move on, and if it doesn't, well, that'll be fun, won't it? So let's give this a shot. Now, remember, the most AI I've done is what you see in the game right now, which is not very advanced. And this was years ago I programmed that. The only spawning experience with AI I have is drag and dropping them in the scene. So I'm expecting to learn a lot through this process. Okay, I think what we also need to do is possess, tell it to possess the actor we spawn, if that's a thing. I think we should be able to do that. Yep. Let's try it. Let's try it. I get the feeling that it's not the right way, but let's try it. Okay, no, still no luck. All right, well, I tried at least. Accessed none, trying to read property control. All right, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Have I enabled auto possess? I don't think so. I don't know. I'll have to check that. But if I tell it explicitly to possess, I feel like that should circumvent that problem, I would think. But let's have a look. Oh, really? Class default. All right. I'll look into that. So that must mean, so that means I need to open, oh, I should probably move him away over here so I don't get it mixed up with the one we're spawning. So I need to go to the, I should probably go to like the parent class that every character is like based on for this type of character. So you're telling me there should be some default thing in here that auto possess. All right, I might have to dig. Oh, here we go. Okay, so auto possess AI placed in world. All right, well that actually does clear up something. Oh, wait a second. If I turn this on, oh no, does that mean I'll be able to control the drones? I feel like that's what I need to do. I really hope it's that simple, but I really want to see what happens when I do that. I have to see. This seems too funny. Okay. So it has, I'm now possessing one of those enemies, but because I haven't programmed anything like the camera, I I can't move it because the drone class is not designed to take player input. But I guess in theory, I could, if I put in effort, I could make these player controllable. But that I'm not going to do that. But I could in theory. Anyway, let's see what happens if I turn that back off and just spawn this. Hey, buddy. All right, awesome. Thanks for the tip on that one. Thanks for very generously showing me that without getting angry at me for clicking on the wrong thing. All right. Well, I guess that's that problem solved. Do I actually still need that stuff I added or not? I don't know. I might not need this. Let's see what happens if I can remove that and just have it work, then I'll do that. Okay, I can remove that bit then. But you'll see the problem now. So yeah, let's get rid of this. We don't need that now. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. So you'll see the problem now where if we get out of range, it just despawns. But that is pretty funny. But if the pathfinding works, I was half expecting the pathfinding to not work, so that is fantastic. Very cool. We'll get some like particle effects and stuff later. We'll do that like near the end once I get everything else working. What's next? I can probably tick some of this off now. That's done. That's done. That's not done. That's okay, so we've got 2 things done. Fantastic. I guess that's done. But yeah, we got to do these others. So, gotta think what I want to do first. What we'll do... We'll do... This one. Spawn actor proximity detection. So what I mean by that is, what I want is instead of what's happening now, and let me just real quick before I continue, I'm going to see if I can just close some of this stuff. I don't think I'll need that component, but I'll, actually, maybe I will. I might need it, now that I think about it. Well, I'll leave that open. I think what class? That's the AI trooper. It's the drone. It's the... Alright. Okay, so I've only got open what I need. I've got these 3 other ones open, and that's for later, because there's a bug with one of these that I need to get around to, but I'm just leaving those open so I remember it. So just ignore those. On this one, what I need to do is... Here's what I'm thinking. When it spawns... a thing, when it spawns an actor, what I think I want it to do is to attach a component to the thing it spawns that has a trigger volume on it, and then bind that volume to the spawner. So let me write this down. Because this is where it gets a little funky. So what we need is to make... The main goal here is to make the enemy aware of how far away the player is from that enemy. Not from the spawn point. That's really important. Because its distance from the spawn point at this stage is irrelevant. It just needs to know how far away from the enemy we spawned. So how can we do that? I feel like one way is... This is just my game theory hypothetical here. Attach component to spawned enemy. Component can determine player proximity and despawn its I think that's how it should work. But there's more. There's something else that I am missing. It needs this component has to hook into the spawner. Or does it? Actually, no, it might not. Because the other problem with this, the problem is spawner needs to know when the enemy has despawned and why. And that's important. Because there's two reasons it needs to know that. If despawned, actually, yeah, if despawned from exceeding proximity, allow another enemy to be spawned when player enters spawn trigger proximity. So that's not the enemy proximity, that's the spawner. The second thing is, if despawned from defeat, don't respawn enemy unless mission has been reloaded. So what does that mean? Well, can I explain this better? I'm not sure. What that essentially means is, because what I'm thinking is if the enemy can be despawned because of two main reasons. There's two contingencies in which an enemy will be removed from the map. Either it's defeated or the player gets too far enough from it. And the reason that the contingency for that matters, because depending on how it despawns, we want it to react differently. So if you get too far away from the enemy, then the enemy's gonna just delete itself. And then a new one will spawn when you get close to the spawner again. But when the character deletes itself, we want to then notify the spawner that, hey, we've been despawned now, so go ahead and ready another one up in case the player comes back. But if we've defeated an enemy, which will destroy it as well, but the context is different, and the context there matters because we don't want to then spawn another enemy if we've defeated the enemy. We want the enemy to not respawn. Unless, as I wrote down here, unless the mission state gets reset. So if we die, the player, if we die and respawn, we then want the spawner to then set us back and pretend like none of it happened and go, oh, the player's nearby again, let's spawn an enemy. And it needs to forget that the enemy had been defeated, unless you've reached like a checkpoint. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get to that yet, but that's something to keep in mind. So I just got to think for a moment of how to break this down into like steps. We're gonna need some relationship between the spawner and the enemy. I just need to think about how to establish that relationship, because the spawner needs information from the enemy. And that's where event dispatches come in handy, because I do have some event dispatches set up already on the enemy that we might be able to leverage. For example, the enemy has a health component on it, which is the same health component on the crates, same health component on Gabby. It all works the same. And the health component has a death event. So we need the spawner to bind to the death event of the spawned enemy. So let me write that down. Spawner must bind to the health component of spawned enemy. On death, set disable, or I guess, yeah, disable the spawner. We don't want the spawn anymore if we've killed one. Unless we want to do something where we can set a maximum number, like, let's say we had it so that it would spawn 5 enemies or unlimited enemies if we wanted. But if we only wanted it to spawn a finite amount, either just 1 or maybe like 5 or 10, it would mean that every time an enemy dies, it has to increment a number. And then if the number exceeds a threshold, it then turns off and stops spawning things. And then that has to then be saved and loaded with the mission. So the spawner also needs a relationship with the mission. That will be actually pretty easy to do. But that we'll only be able to do that at the end once we've got everything else. I just thought I'd write it down anyway. Make the player aware of how far attached component to spawn. Component can determine player proximity. I might make a... just a note so I know what this is, that this is meant for this thing. I'll move this set of notes to the spawner, so I know what needs to happen where. So I've got all my notes about the spawner grouped here. So this is the things that the spawner part needs to do, and this is what this vague component, proximity component, is going to have to do. And it, now that I think of it, there might be some overlap between these two. Maybe the spawner might... let me just think. Or maybe not, I don't know. I'm just trying to pick where to start with this, because it relies on a few different moving pieces. I think what we'll start with is the health, because I think that should be easy. I've already got things set up for that, so we'll start there. Okay, that is not meant. That's meant to go over here, and that, I think I must have put the wrong notes there. Yeah, that needs to be there. So we'll do this, the health, because what that means is when the spawner does an actor, if that actor has the health component, we're then going to bind events. The spawner is going to bind events to that, and we can then tell it to react and do stuff. So that we'll do that. That's actually quite easy. So we'll go to the spawn actor function. We'll then go get component by class health, and then we need to make that a actor health component. Reference to spawned actors health component. And now that I think of it, we might want some dispatches so that we can do some stuff. So I'll make a few event dispatches. On spawn actor, on despawn actor. We might need more later, but we'll just start with those. Events to occur, I'll just write some tooltips in because I like doing that. Events to occur when spawning actor. Events to occur when despawning actor. And I think for the spawn actor, we'll give it some input so that we know what it is it's spawning. And yeah, I think that's it. So we'll call this dispatcher. What we'll actually, as well, what we might do, because move this around. I'm gonna need to, because we don't want to do this if there isn't a, because if there isn't a health component, we want to skip over this. So we can return those in the dispatcher. Because then what we can do... I'm just thinking, should I also make a reference to the health component? Yes. Because then what we can do is when, because here's the thing, here's the reason I've set this up. The reason I've set it up is because we need to write a function or an event that will bind events from the health component, but that needs to happen at a specific point. We can't just do that on begin play. It has to happen after the actor is spawned, and I don't believe you can bind events in functions, so we're making an event dispatcher that will fire when the function is called, and then with the information from that function, we will then assign on set dead, which is the event. I mean, we could assign things to other ones, but this is the main event that is of importance here. So when the we'll have to then tell this to do this. Actually, I just realized, what is the difference between actor begin overlap and component begin overlap? Is there a difference? I don't know, I might leave this here just in case. I don't know if there's a difference. Anyway, so when we die, let me check my notes, what has to happen? If death disable. All right, so when the enemy has died, we don't want to like keep spawning stuff. So we'll make a boolean called can spawn whether actor can be spawned. We want to set this to true by default, but if this condition is met, if the character dies, we want to set that to false. Actually, wait. Oh, no. There's something I'm missing. There's a problem with this, I just realized. If I do it this way, with this variable, I need to actually put that, I need to put that here. Because at the moment, we won't notice this because I just have it despawn when you exit the trigger. But if we have it working the way it should work, what'll happen is we'll be able to walk into the trigger volume, and we'll be able to walk out and have the character follow us. And then if we walk back into the trigger volume again, another enemy will spawn while the other one's still there. So we don't want it to spawn more than, I mean, in this case, I don't want it to spawn more than one at a time. So I need to set can spawn to false, I think. Or do I? I think I'm using this at the moment, but I want to replace this with a boolean because there might be other conditions I want to factor in later than just whether it is valid, the actor is spawned or not. So we'll just set that, and then when despawn actor, we'll set this back to true. Which means... something. It means that I think I might have to use a different Or I don't know. Actually, I think I can do this. I think I can have it set up this way. So, and just for like test sake, we'll add like a little debug log here just to test it. Let's see what happens. It might work. Might work. Okay, cool. There's a little print string in the corner. So the spawner knows when the enemy died. And if I exit that volume and go back, it will not spawn another. That's pretty cool. Let's try it again without killing the enemy and see what happens. It should keep spawning if I keep entering this trigger if I haven't killed it, which it seems to be doing. But if I have killed it, it should not. Okay, awesome. I can't believe that actually worked. Hell yeah. All right. So we can tick that off. Just gotta think what to do next. The next challenge is the proximity, because we obviously don't want it. Like if I turn this off. Also, yeah, let's actually check if it'll spawn multiple. If I don't have it despawn, it shouldn't. Okay, I think that's working. It should only have the one, because I've turned off. I've unplugged the bit where it despawns it. When you exit the proximity. Oh, I didn't mean to touch that. So what should happen is, yeah, it should only just have the one active and not spawn more. And then if I kill it and then try and enter that trigger, it should not spawn another. Okay, cool. Awesome. Oh, what's this? Oh, that is... Okay, that's a completely different component. We don't want that open now. Cool. So the next challenge will be despawning the enemy based on the proximity between the player and the enemy. Well, let me just think for a second. There's something about this event that I have to add something to it. I'm just trying to think what it is. I know that there's something I got to add. I need a contingency in which the character is destroyed. Not as a result of is dead, but actually, I don't know. We'll get to that later. I think I'm overthinking it. I just got to think. So this might be the hard bit. Some kind of way to track the proximity between the enemy, the spawned enemy, and the character and the player. That what I don't want to do is every frame have like a line trace that, you know, get distance. I don't want to do that, because that doesn't feel like the right way. The right way seems like a trigger volume that responds to the player. That only fires events like when you enter and exit it, or when it's overlapped. But how do I get? Because here's the problem. Or wait, actually no, I think I might know how to do this. Because the challenge I'm trying to think of is, what thing do you make? What thing do you make that can do that? That can, like, because what the component needs to be, and I'll let's describe the component here. I've already got some notes on it here. Because it needs things that we can't put in a blueprint component. And I think there is a solution for this, and I think what we need is a scene component, not an actor component. The difference is that an actor component is just pure logic, but a scene component can have primitives in it, And by primitives, I think Unreal calls them primitives, but it's things like, you know, physical objects, triggers, meshes, that kind of thing. You can't attach those to a blueprint component, but you can attach them, sorry, to an act component. You can attach them to a scene component. So I think what we need is to have a scene component that we can attach as we spawn the enemy. That's the vibe. That's the vibe I'm feeling. That's what I think we should do. So we need a new component. Create scene component. Now I don't think I've used scene components before. Maybe I have. It's been a while. I don't remember having used them. So we'll call this proximity component. Player proximity component. And what we need... Oh, maybe I might have been wrong. Can I add triggers? I don't think so. But, okay, that's not, okay. I might have had a bit of a misunderstanding of scene components. But, let me think. Maybe, No, I think I have another idea. What we'll do is we'll do it in the spawner, because we can't really add anything. We can only add functions. We can't add primitive. I thought we could add sub primitives to like this thing. I guess not. I don't know. I thought we could have. But yeah, what Xavier said is basically what I'm trying to do. Except a trigger is kind of stupid in the sense that a trigger is just a trigger. The thing I'm trying to figure out is how do you then tell the trigger what to do and how to react and to do things when it's activated? Because all it'll do is pick up. Sorry, all it'll do is pick up that it's collided with something or overlapped something. I need to be able to then tell it what to do when it does that, which I was hoping to like specify in a component like this, but that's not how that works. So, but I do have an idea, and it's exactly what you said, spawning a trigger, but I think there's a way we can actually give it instructions to do things. So what I'll have to do, add another sequence, add another branch to this. So we'll need to attach component. Oh, okay, it's not, okay. Is that the right function? Because I know that there is a way you can spawn like a thing. Okay, I don't know if that's what we want though, because that's gonna take our collision and move it, which I don't think we want. We want to create a new one. Sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. Okay, no, I don't want to attach component to a component. Attach component to actor. What the hell? What is attaches root component of this actor to the... Okay, no, that's not what I want. Oh no, I think maybe it's add component by... Oh yeah, there we go. So that's what I want. This is the right one. So I think maybe we'll make it a sphere component with 0 relative transform. I think if it has 0 relative transform, it should just like attach itself and move with the character. I'm assuming should do that. It might not, but I really hope it does do that by default, because setting that up is going to be a pain if it doesn't. We'll promote this to a variable. And we'll call this actor proximity trigger. And then when that, we'll need to add something to this event dispatcher as well. We need to add an input. And then in our thing, assign on begin overlap for that component. And we can just program it here, I guess. So I want to make an event elsewhere and handle that stuff. So when that overlap ends, if the other actor oh, is that, oh sorry, that's the wrong event. It's begin overlap. I want end overlap. Now you might be saying, well, Ray, why don't you just like add a sphere to every enemy and do it that way? The reason I don't want to do that is because I want this component to not have to rely too much on what it spawns. What I want this to be in a way where I can spawn anything and this logic will work. So if you spawn an enemy, it'll attach this component to it. The spawning behavior will behave the exact same way no matter what object you spawn, and you don't have to like go to every single type of object. So another thing we can actually use this for that I just noticed, we can actually use this for like these things as well, these crates, because these have physics on them, and physics costs. So maybe we'd want to get rid of these if we get too far away from them. And that we can use the same system with these, so that if, you know, you get near the spawn point, it'll create one, and then you can kick it around and it'll go with you and not despawn. But if you get further enough away from the cube, it'll despawn. So that's something we could do. But if we wanted to do the slow way, we would have to then go to every kind of object we'd want to spawn and attach this trigger component to it, which would get kind of costly if we want to just place these in without the spawner. So that way, in this method, it's only attaching this component to the things that spawned, and if we want to just drag and drop an enemy in, we can do that, and it won't have this component on it because it won't need it. So that's kind of cool. I think I can get rid of these two events. So if, all right, well, I'll continue on. If it's player controlled, the thing the end overlap thing, we then want to despawn the actor. I think that's it. Let's give that a shot. Now I just realized there might be an issue with this. What is the event log? Okay, that doesn't have any errors. But I just realized there's going to be some things I have to do. I have to set a radius, which I haven't done. I'll make that like 500. We'll be able to set this per spawner, which is nice. Is there a way I can, hold on, set hidden in game? I want to make sure I can actually see it. So now, yeah, okay, it's a bit hard to see because of the compression on YouTube, but there is a sphere around this dude now. If I turn anti-aliasing off, I don't know if you can see that, but there is a sphere around the guy. So that's cool. Except if I exit it, it won't despawn. Oh, wait. What happened there? It just blew up. Maybe, no. Let me try that again. Is that meant to, was that it despawning? Okay, no. Okay, so it must have just hit the platform and blew up spontaneously. That's pretty funny. Okay, that wasn't meant to happen. But yeah, it seems like when it goes near those platforms, it just blows up. That is really funny. Okay, now it's not doing... Okay, I don't know what happened then. I have no idea. But it seems to not despawn the enemy. And that's a bit of a problem. A wee bit of a problem. Let me look at the... Oh yeah, also maybe something I should do is do one of these. I didn't really know much about sequence nodes when I started Unreal, but now that I am aware of them, I love them. Great ways to keep things organized. Oh, I just want to, yeah, make that neat. So I want to move this below it, like that. And I'll probably need one of these. Because maybe not all of them, maybe it won't spawn successfully. At least we'll have like a fallback if that happens. Cool. But, oh, what's this? Okay, we gotta make sure I plug those in. Just trying to tidy it up a little so I can see what's going on, because it seems like this is not happening. Does it know if I've ended overlap? Let's find out. Okay, it doesn't seem to know that we've ended overlap. It's not doing anything. Oh, it's because this, I needed to unplug one of those. Yeah, it had too many things plugged into the boolean. So now if I leave, there we go, haha. So it should get rid of you, which I think it has done. So if I get, now I've set the distance really low. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, okay, I just want to like full screen it and like pay attention. Okay, so there's another issue. And that's that if the player is never in the proximity, then it'll never despawn. Like this, I'm actually outside of its range right now, and it will never despawn. As a result, I have to go near it first, and then it'll despawn. I gotta think about how I want that to work. Because if I go into its radius and then leave it, it will then despawn. Now keep in mind, I've got the radius very low, and that's deliberate, because I'm just trying to test it out. Oops, I didn't mean to touch that. Oh, wait a second. Okay, because it's not responding to mission events yet. Now there's 2 of them. Wait a minute. I might be able to cheese it. Hold on. I think I can actually get it to spawn 2. Yeah, alright, so that's an issue. I can spawn 2 of them at once. But if I leave the proximity of both of them, they'll both Also, yeah, I forgot that they can actually attack each other by accident, which is quite funny. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know if you guys saw that, but oh. It seems like when I oh no. Uh-oh. Oh no. It looks like, I don't know why, but if I slide near the enemy, it blows up. What's going on there? What is going on there? See, watch this. You guys saw that? I slid in the completely different direction. I didn't even touch it. Unless I like get out of its spawn, it'll just vanish. But if I re-enter that trigger volume, and if I slide, oh wait, I just got out of its trigger volume there. Yeah, if I just slide near it, it just spontaneously combusts. All right, we'll worry about that problem later. That sounds like that's too funny. I'm just gonna leave that in for the moment. That's it. Like, oh yeah, so there I am making my game, and then the drones just start blowing up. What's going on? I can't even begin to describe what's going on with that. Anyway, I gotta think about what I gotta think about this new problem of is there a way? Will that become a feature? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, then I started blasting. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, so let me write down some problems so I don't forget them. Enemies spontaneously combust. And then enemies will enemies can't detect proximity if spawned too far away from the player. I might have an idea on how we might solve this. What we'll do is when the enemy is wait a minute. Well, yeah, here's what we'll do. If we'll get the radius of the of this. I don't know how good of a solution this will be, but I just want to test it out. Oh, I'm actually okay. Maybe I don't know what this does. I just want to get the distance between these. Alright, okay, it's this. I just want to get the distance. If it exceeds, or if it's less than or equal to the radius. Okay, there's a bit of a band-aid, bit of a hack. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's fine. But what I'm essentially going to do is, if the player, if it, like, you trigger the spawn, and you're nowhere near the enemy radius, it just won't spawn the enemy. which... Okay, I don't know. I'm not so sure about this solution. If I set the radius higher to like 1,000... Oh. I don't know what happened there. It seems like it just instantly blows up when I go near it now. Alright. Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Alright. Gotta think. Because, yeah, the main thing is... What should happen? Because I didn't think of this contingency. I didn't think of this. Because you gotta ask yourself, alright, well, the enemies it spawns will have a set radius. If the player exceeds that radius, it will despawn. What happens if an enemy spawn and the player is already exceeding the radius? What happens? I think... I don't know. The thing I would guess... Oh no, wait a minute. Well, because the thing I was thinking was... If you're exceeding the radius, there is going to be no way for the enemy to know how far away you are unless I like do some vector distance stuff constantly on the enemy, which doesn't sound like a good idea because I don't want to have to be constantly checking something that often, like on tick. I want to avoid tick. But if you're already outside, it should just not spawn you. And then to circumvent that, you just set the radius to be bigger. That's what I'm thinking. So that's what I was trying to do here, I think. Is that if the radius that we want to spawn, that we want to check, if you're already outside of it, just don't bother spawning it, because you're not going to be able to despawn the enemy, ever. And that's kind of defeats the purpose of the system, so just don't do it. Instead, we just got to set the radius to be big. So I'll set it even bigger, so to 2,000. So that way, what should happen is in most situations, the trigger this radius should be larger than the trigger volume. Or like the point at which you touch the trigger volume should be in this radius. That way it's like, oh, okay, we'll spawn you in. And then that way, the player's already in that radius, and then when you exit, you'll always be able to trigger that exit, and then it can despawn. Because I don't want a situation where you're unable to trigger the event exit, except I don't know why the drone is just blowing up instantly. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know what's going on. Why is it doing this? Yeah, you just see an explosion. Unless... Let's unplug this. Maybe it's triggering the overlap already, and we don't know it. Okay, no. What on earth's going on? Why is it exploding instantly? I'm not even sliding. I'm just walking. I'm walking here, and then the drone just blows up. I don't know what's going on. Is there a radius elsewhere that might be doing this? I don't know, it shouldn't be. Non-despawnable. Like a custom, like a boolean, maybe, I don't know. Just gotta think for a moment about how well, main problem is, why is the enemy just blowing up? What's going on? Every time I walk into this, it... Alright, let's maybe unbind that. I don't know, maybe something's causing it. Okay, no. Alright, so something somewhere, something's going down. I don't know what. What if I set the radius to like 1? Because I noticed that when I set the radius bigger, it started doing that. Okay, now it won't spawn. At least it knows not to spawn if the radius is too low. But let's bypass this again. Just so that I can get it to at least show up. Alright, so something I did... Something. Don't know what. But it seems to not like this for some reason. Which is very, very peculiar. Very, very peculiar. So, alright, let's try setting that radius to, like, something big without plugging this in, just to see what happens. Okay, so when the radius is too big, it just blows up. Very fascinating. So that must mean... What must that mean? What does that mean? Let's remove the binding for a... Oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's just remove this for a moment. Let's... Oh, that's already unplugged. So now the despawn function is never being called. Okay. Alright. Alright. Something's afoot. Something's going on. I think it's something to do with the enemy class. It seems to be picking up something it shouldn't be from that trigger. So I'm gonna plug this all back in now, because this is actually fine. It's just the enemy seems to not like touching stuff. I think I might have a game theory what's going on. I think what's happening is it might be like touching one of the laser obstacles in the map somewhere the minute it spawns. Like, I think what's happening is that it's using the trigger we're attaching to it to react to stuff that it shouldn't be doing. So let's check the enemy class. Maybe it's the health, I don't know, maybe the health component has got something to do with it. Event, set health, set dead, set respawn. Might be the health component. What events do we have? I'm looking for like an overlap, event overlap sort of scenario. Begin overlap. Oh, what's this? Okay, so... oh no. Oh no. It's taking damage. With like... Oh! No, I know, okay, I know exactly what's going on. So that sphere that we're spawning onto the drone, that sphere is spherical, surprise, surprise, but what's happening is that it's clipping underneath the ground and intersecting with the kill volume I've got under here. There's a kill volume here that just kills anything that touches it, and it's using that thing we're adding to it to also react to this stuff. The health component is using the proximity thing. It's binding it to this thing and going, oh, we touched the kill volume, even though it kind of hasn't. Not, like, exactly. And I also just realized that this makes no sense with the way I've plugged this in. Because I just noticed that I've got a for loop that isn't looped. Yet this has still been working, so I don't know why I did it this way, but it must be a reason. I'm just really confused. Why did I set it up this way? And why did I leave it like this? There must be a reason. I don't know, we'll leave that alone, but we gotta do some... this is actually this is gonna be a bit hard, actually, because... the health component is used on a lot of things. And not everything's gonna have the same component. Unless we do like a different channel, like a different, it has to, okay, let me think. Because I can't not use, it has to be this event, but it means we're gonna have to use a different, I don't know if that's actually possible, hold on. We're gonna have to put the player on like a custom collision channel for this to work, which I didn't want to do, but it looks like that's where it's going. So is there a way I can set collision object type, profile name, response to channels? So what channel? Oh, maybe I don't know, maybe we can get it to just ignore the kill volumes. I don't know, maybe. I gotta read what thing this is. This is a... Okay, well it overlaps with quite a lot of stuff. I think what we'll do is we'll have it ignore everything except the pawn object type. I don't know if that'll work. This is like, just see what'll happen. So hopefully the enemy should not blow up. Okay, it's not blowing up. Nice. And I should be able to run away from him. So I'm just going to turn off some post-processing so we can kind of see... Oh, I think did it work? I think it worked. Okay, so we spawn him in. He's got a big sphere radius. I just got to figure out where the end is. Okay, there's the end of the radius. So if I exit that, he should disappear. And I think he has. Cool. And then he comes back. Hell yeah. So his actual his spawning radius is actually bigger than his detection radius, so he actually can't see me. I'm like John Cena right now. But if I go near him, he can see me now. But I have to, like, if I get far enough away, I can actually get far enough away where he doesn't see me and he won't despawn. Which is, yeah, so if I get there, he'll... Where is he actually? I don't know, where is he going? Because I just realized... Where is he actually going? Oh! Wait a minute. Where is he Okay, I didn't actually remember this, but it turns out I had him go to your last known location. I totally forgot that. That's actually kind of cool. I completely forgot that he could do that. So that location is where he last saw me. He'll actually go and move there. Because I'm just thinking, where is he walking off to? Where is he going? And it's because he's trying to move. So if I run and hide... Okay, no, he can see me. But if I, like, run and hide... Yeah, he'll try and go to where I was. Okay, I actually totally forgot that. That's so funny. And then, yeah, so if I move further enough away... He should disappear. I want to be able to see it happen. I want to see it happen. Okay, cool. He's gone. Now the question is, I think it'll still spawn multiple, I think? Okay, no, it actually isn't still spawning multiple. Alright, cool. It's only spawning the one. So when I run into the spawn volume again, it won't do anything. Until he despawns, then it'll do something. And then if I kill him, he should not come back. Oh no, he does. Okay, okay, I must have unplugged something. Alright, I'll have to plug something back in. Well, look, I don't know about this solution, but it works, so we're just gonna keep that in. Let me just like move this out of the way. Give it a bit of a tidy up there. Cool beans. All right. And I'll need to make room for this. So yeah, this contingency here should never happen, but in case it does, it will just ignore... If the player is so far away from the character when we spawn, it just won't bother. It'll just go eh. But that should never happen. But in case it does, like let's say, for example, I don't know, like if you were to like jump into the trigger volume and then the player gets teleported somewhere, then yeah, it'll know not to spawn the enemy, because otherwise it'll spawn it and the enemy will just be there indefinitely. So that'll cover us there, I think. But what I would like to do is like let's do this. Do I use any tags? Yes, I do. I think I just use them for their kill volumes. I'm not sure if I use them for anything else. Maybe I do. It's been a while though. So let's just, oh. So let's actually reference the actual thing that we touch. Cool. So we got quite the little component going on here, which is pretty nice. I'm just trying to think what is next, because it looks like we've got the proximity working. So I can tick off something here. Proximity detection done. Might be able to do one more thing on this list. I think I should probably have some kind of thing where there's like it will well, let me think, because we're using this boolean can spawn so that it doesn't keep spawning stuff. I think what I want to do is with the mission, we'll get some quick mission functionality going on, and I think I'll call it. The other stuff I can probably just do later. It's just boring sort of stuff. So, to address the main problem that this system was for, these enemies need to be able to come back if the mission gets reset. Now, luckily, because of all the extraneous setup I did months ago with this system, that should be pretty easy to do now. So watch this. The part at the beginning of the stream where I said, you'll know when you, like, when one of these cool moments comes up, this is one of those cool moments. Because all I need to do here is get a mission binder, which is a component I've already written. And on this mission binder, there should be a property called include loaded missions and include only active mission, which we're going to turn both these on. These should automatically detect for the currently active mission. Now there should be an event in this mission binder called set active mission. And what we're going to do is assign on mission. I thought there was something like that. Cast to mission get, because this is casting to an actor, and we need a component on it called mission component. So here's what we got to do. So when the mission is set, because remember, this has to happen at a specific time. It has to happen when this event fires. When the mission is set, if it's valid, which it should always be, but I like to just add, because when you don't add this in, sometimes you get an error, so we'll put that in. If it's valid, we then assign on mission load, which is an event I've already written to. And then when this happens, set can spawn to true. I think that's literally it. So what should happen is the mission is active right now. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Oh yeah, no, there was something I unplugged earlier that I gotta plug back in. Or was there? Oh, okay, well, something is broken. So, because what's meant to happen is if the enemy dies, it shouldn't spawn more enemies unless this happens, unless mission is set. So that's a bit of a something's not. Oh no, yeah, no, wait, yeah, no, that's correct. That's correct. It must mean that set can spawn must be true somewhere. Let's look at let's just check that again. So if I destroy you, you should not. Okay, it's spawning again, which should not happen. So I think the death event might not be firing. Okay, the death event is firing. That is being set to false, which means... Why? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold up. I don't know. Okay, I don't know what's going on with that. But I should be able to... Why is that true? Can spawn is not true. What's going on? Find... Okay, I gotta see where... Find references. Where is this being set to true? It's being set to true somewhere. Please don't tell me that it's... Because yeah, when we spawn it, it sets it to false. Oh, it's when we despawn. All right, well, let's turn that off. Oh... Okay, fine. Let's just turn that off for the moment. That's going to cause an issue, but let's just do it. Okay. But if I reload the mission... Okay. Okay, what's going on? What's going on here? Did I leave that plugged in? Oh. Is this event working? Big question. That's the question. Okay, that event is not firing. What happens if I let it kill me? Will it fire the event? All right, no. So let me check something. All right, I gotta go soon, but let me just check something. I thought this would be easy. Ha. Foolish of me. So the proximity spawner Yeah, it's supposed to include the missions. Unless this is in the wrong scene, which it might be. No. Okay, well, let's try it. If I go to levels, gotta go mission act paste, that should work. It's got these both ticked, so it should work, right? When I press R, it should be loading the mission. It should be firing that event, which it isn't. It seems... Oh, okay, I don't need to see that. It seems, though, that component-bound event, runtime error, Nexus none. So it doesn't seem to be able to... It doesn't... I can't seem to get the mission. I don't know. Well, let's see if that part is fine. Maybe it's just this part's not getting... I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, no. Huh. Maybe this is the wrong event. Oh, no, I think that's the wrong event. Yeah, I think the event I need... Oh, no, that's the right one. All right. Seems to not know what mission is currently... Maybe if I turn this off, maybe that'll work. Because it should auto get the mission. Okay, let's... All right, that seems to not work. Let's do it manually. I think I should be able to do that. If I type the mission in here... It should... Okay, let's see what happens if I explicitly tell it what mission... Okay, it's still not working. Let's try something else. Just an experiment. This isn't the way I want to do it, but let's try it. I'm gonna put this... Bit messy. I'll clean it up later, but I just want to try this. If I just tell it explicitly what the mission is, will it work? No. Apparently not. Alright, because what this component is meant to do is, like, get the current mission and be able to hook into the events. But it seems to not be able to find it, or when I tell it explicitly what mission to bind. I don't know. Let's... Is it actually getting that is valid or not? No. Okay. So the mission component is not, unless maybe it will do it after. Let's see if, because maybe if we instantly do it, it might not know it yet. So if I add a bit of a delay, does it eventually? Okay, it seems to not. All right, that might be something to troubleshoot for later. Because that when it gets to the mission component, things can get kind of complicated. Mission binder. Yeah, this is some of the component. It does work on other things, I will say. The collectibles have this thing on it, and it works perfectly. Completely flawlessly. Like if I touch those cogs and respawn, the cogs come back. But it seems doesn't work on the proximity thing for some reason. How have I implemented it on these? Maybe there was something I did. Mission binder. Set mission loaded. Load collected. Set collected. Set actor. Okay, maybe I have to pay attention to what this is. Save mission, set mission active. Okay, I think it's this. Let's try pasting that event in. Maybe that'll do something. Set mission loaded. I don't know. Might work, might not. Okay, no, still not. It should be like it should be like firing something when this happens. And that is happening, but it doesn't seem to be working. So that's unfortunate. I'll have to figure out something. But I might be out of time for today. But to recap, let's look at what we did get working, because that's gonna take me a bit of time to figure that one out. But what we did get working was that while the mission is active, enemies can spawn. They'll also then despawn after you reach past a certain distance, which is nice, because if you have a big level that's like huge, with a lot of enemies in it, game will run a bit better without having to have all the enemies active all the time, because that's what it was like previously. What I will do, because there's another little bit as well I gotta remember to look into, and that is that when you despawn, it's this. I'm gonna mark this in orange and say this also fires when you defeat the enemy, which I don't want it to do. So that's something I'll have to look at next time. But anyway, I have to get going. But we will figure it out eventually. Do I do any C++ coding? No, I'm not really a programmer. I'm more of a, I don't know what I am, but I'm not much of a programmer. I just use the blueprints. But anyway, that shall conclude us for today. But we got something working, which is great. And I was able to show you guys the new results screen, which I was really looking forward to, which is nice. I just gotta... All right, I'll save this later because it's going to take a while to like organize. But thanks everyone for coming. I know it was an impromptu stream, as it usually is, but I appreciate it. If you want to support Project Feline, please check out Patreon. I have these mugs for my Patreons. That's kind of the only way to support the game at the moment. I'd really appreciate the guys checking it out. They are also privy to exclusive posts, so there's a lot of stuff I've been working on besides this that I have shown my patrons. If you want to know what's going on with some new levels, some new system stuff, that's the place to go. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for coming. I will see you next time, whenever that is. See ya next time.